This video is presented for educational, documentary, and news reporting purposes. It is based on publicly available court records, official statements, and credible news reporting. Some individuals mentioned have been convicted, while others are facing allegations or ongoing legal proceedings. All defendants are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. This video does not glorify violence or encourage harmful behavior, and viewer discretion is advised. Late nights, closed roads, locked doors, and a single phone call. Words turned into criminal charges that would reach courtrooms far from the places where the violence began. All names, dates, and major scenes are kept exactly as reported. Let's begin. Story 1. Gianna Kistner/Devin Scott Raper/Johnsonville shooting late on the night of June 24, 2025, on a dark stretch of North First Neck Road in Johnsonville, South Carolina. A 16-year-old high school running back walked toward what he believed was a meeting arranged by his girlfriend. From the darkness, 19-year-old Devin Scott Raper stepped out and fired 2 close-range shots into his chest. The boy was rushed to the hospital but did not survive. He was a standout athlete at Johnsonville High School, described by classmates and coaches as a bright spirit with real talent, someone in this small Florence County town people believe was going somewhere. The shooter was Raper, but investigators say the person who led the victim to that road was his girlfriend, 17-year-old Gianna Kistner. Authorities allege the case grew from a love triangle. Both the victim and Raper were involved with Kistner, and tension between the two young men had been escalating. Prosecutors contend Kistner brought Raper to North First Neck Road knowing he was armed and intended to cause serious harm. Witnesses described the shooter fleeing in a white Mazda SUV. Portions of the incident were captured on cell phone video by other teens at the scene. In total, 9 young people have been charged in connection with that night, one of the largest single-incident juvenile arrest cases in recent Florence County history. Kistner was initially arrested on June 30, 2025 and charged as an accessory before the fact to a felony. The charge was later upgraded to murder under South Carolina's accomplice liability statute, which holds that the hand of one is the hand of all. Under that doctrine, anyone who facilitates or aids a crime can be held equally responsible for its outcome, even if they never touched the weapon. That means Kistner could face the same penalties as the person who pulled the trigger. Did Gianna Kistner fully understand what she was setting in motion that night, or did she believe she could control a situation already beyond anyone's reach? She was released to home confinement in late July 2025 and entered a proffer agreement with prosecutors, meaning she is cooperating in exchange for potential consideration at sentencing. Her attorney, Frances Humfer, has asked to relax some bond conditions, arguing she poses no flight risk and has been compliant since her release. The victim's family has not been quiet. His mother told reporters that Kistner was the one who orchestrated everything, calling her the person who delivered her son to the man who took his life. His grandmother echoed those words, leaving no ambiguity about where the family places blame. The defense pushed back, noting Kistner went to the hospital the night of the incident and that the full story has not yet been tested in front of a jury. As of the latest reporting, Gianna Kistner has not been convicted of any crime. She remains charged with murder and is on home confinement while cooperating with the state. Devin Scott Raper faces his own murder charges. No trial date has been set for either defendant. The 7 other teens charged in connection with the incident face varying counts, and legal proceedings are expected to continue for months. The young man at the center of this case was a rising athlete in a small southern town, the kind of person whose future people talked about at Friday night games. Johnsonville is a community of fewer than 2,000 people. Everyone knew him and everyone felt his loss. The accusation against Kistner is that she used the trust he placed in her to deliver him directly to the person who ended his life. Whether that accusation will hold up when it finally reaches a courtroom is something only a jury can decide. Story 2. Ashley Martinson/Wisconsin stepfather and mother killing. On March 7, 2015, in the small town of Peel, Wisconsin, 17-year-old Ashley Martinson loaded a shotgun, sat on her bed, and waited for her stepfather to knock on her door. When he did, she fired twice. Then she turned the weapon into a blade and attacked her mother. By morning, 3 younger children were locked in a closet with food and juice, and the teenager was driving south toward Indiana with her 22-year-old boyfriend, Ryan Sisko, in the passenger seat. Martinson had lived in that house for years, but what she left behind would stun a courtroom. Martinson's childhood was shaped by harm. During her early years, she was abused by a member of her mother's household, a man who later faced his own criminal charges. That experience defined her formative years. Her mother, Jennifer Ives, eventually married Thomas Ives, a man with prior convictions for kidnapping, domestic violence, and other serious offenses. He was prohibited from possessing firearms. Despite that restriction, the house was full of loaded guns. Martinson later described a home where fear was constant, where raised voices were followed by worse, and where the only escape she could imagine was another person, Ryan Sisko. When Martinson's parents discovered the relationship and confiscated her car keys and phone, the tension reached a breaking point. The night before the incident, her stepfather reportedly banged on her locked bedroom door. Martinson took one of the loaded shotguns from the home and waited. When he came to her door again the following evening, she fired twice, striking him in the neck and head. When her mother, Jennifer, came toward the room to investigate, Martinson attacked her with a knife, inflicting more than 30 wounds. She then locked her 2 stepsisters and her younger half-sister in a room with snacks and juice, and left the house with Sisko. They were captured the next day in Boone County, Indiana. She was initially charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and false imprisonment for locking the younger children in the room. But what followed was not a straightforward path to trial. Martinson maintained a horror-themed blog under the pseudonym Vampik, and prosecutors pointed to its content as evidence of a violent disposition. The defense countered that the blog was a teenager's outlet for processing trauma, not a blueprint for harm. Did the violence of that night erupt from nothing, or had it been building behind those walls for years before anyone thought to look? Martinson's defense raised the extensive history of abuse she had suffered. They filed a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. In March 2016, she accepted a plea deal after both sides acknowledged that the circumstances were more complicated than any single charge could capture. The charges were reduced to 2 counts of second-degree intentional homicide. Sentencing came on June 10, 2016 before Oneida County Circuit Judge Michael Bloom. The prosecution asked for 40 years of initial confinement. The defense asked for 8. Judge Bloom settled on 23 years of initial confinement followed by 17 years of extended supervision, a total of 40 years under state control. Martinson appealed. On February 20, 2019, the Wisconsin Court of Appeals upheld the sentence. The Wisconsin Supreme Court declined to review the case on June 11 of that same year. In May 2025, Martinson filed a pro-Southeast motion asking the court to vacate or modify her sentence. Circuit Judge Mary Sinsky denied the motion on September 3, 2025 without holding a hearing. As of this writing, Ashley Martinson is incarcerated at Taycheedah Correctional Institution in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Her projected release to extended supervision is February 28, 2038. In an interview conducted from prison, she told a reporter that for the first time in her life, she felt safe. She said she felt happy and free, not because she was proud of what she had done, but because the fear she had lived with every day was finally gone. Young lives were changed forever, 1 lost, 2 locked away, and a 3rd where the court decided that words alone could carry the weight of a life. If you're covering true crime, remember, the facts matter, the names matter, and the scenes matter. Let the courtroom decide what those facts mean.